Welcome to another episode of the Southwest Desert. I am your host, Alan. We will be delving into the Tohono O'odham, also known in past as Papagos, tribal history and relationship to the Saguaro cactus. If you enjoy this video, leave a like or comment. If you love the Southwest like I do, hit the subscribe button. In the fiery deserts of southern Arizona stands an iconic cactus, the towering saguaro. Reaching heights of over 40 feet, with multiple branching arms covered in wicked spines, the saguaro may look harsh and formidable. But each summer, it produces a sweet crimson fruit that has been an essential food and drink for native peoples for untold generations. According to the Tohono O'odham tribal legend, the saguaro owed their very existence to the cunning of coyote. At the first feast of the saguaro wine long ago, the desert birds and animals broke into chaos after partaking of the cactus wine, fighting furiously. The tribal chief decided that the saguaro must be banished from the lands as an evil influence. He commanded his assistant to gather up all the saguaro seeds and take them far away. But the trickster coyote had a soft spot for the sweet saguaro wine and fruit. As the assistant passed by with the pouch of seeds, Coyote struck up a conversation and persuaded him to show the seeds. With a sly flip of his paw, Coyote scattered the tiny black seeds in all directions. The windman then swept many of them high up over the mountains and into remote desert corners, and so the saguaro cactus was spared total extinction. Every June, the saguaro began to ripen. The Tohono O'odham packed up their families and belongings and set up temporary camps deep in the cactus forest to harvest the fruit. The prickly pears had opened, exposing the sweet red pulp inside. Using poles spliced together from saguaro ribs, the Tohono O'odham men stood beneath the towering cacti, gently tapping the ends of the arms to dislodge the ripe fruit. The plum-sized, brilliant red berries plopped to the ground, soon gathered into buckets and ollas by the women. The saguaro harvest coincided with the Tohono O'odham New Year. Entire families took part as they had for generations. Fires crackled, wagons creaked, children laughed and chattered. The women wore vividly colored dresses that stood out dramatically against the muted background of the desert. They joked and shared stories as they worked. Shelters made from native materials were quickly erected. It was a scene of purposeful activity charged with an atmosphere of celebration. The Tohono O'odham women had to act swiftly before the perishable fruit spoiled. The sweet pulp reminded them of a cross between a strawberry and a raspberry. Using traditional ceramic ollas, they simmered the fruit pulp into a dark, concentrated syrup or cooked it down into preserves. No sugar was added to either. The saguaro berries had plenty of natural sugars. The syrup, called cidal by the Tohono O'odham, could keep for a year or more. It was used for making drinks and cereals. The preserves were put up in ollas sealed tight with adobe mud. Cooking took place outdoors over fragrant mesquite wood fires instead of modern stoves. The women took pride in putting up as much of the nutritious fruit as possible for their families during the short harvest season. Work songs and conversation made the time pass quickly as they minded the bubbling pots late into the warm desert nights, laughter ringing musically over the flickering fires. While the women worked on preserving the perishable fruit, Tohono O'odham farmers harvested batch after batch with their hooked poles. The wives watched over the youngest child and back at camp while expertly preparing the saguaro fruit the men brought. Their shelter was made from native materials like those the ancestors used for generations while camping deep in the forest of giants during the harvest rituals. The sacred ceremonial wine made from saguaro syrup played a vital role in their spiritual life. According to their myths, the saguaro was created by Elder Brother planting beads of his own sweat, symbolic of honest hard work, into the desert sands. When the cactus finally bore fruit, Elder Brother mixed the sweet juice with water in an olla, hoping this would bring the blessing of rain. As the liquid fermented into wine, rains did indeed finally come, ending the drought. So the festival celebrating the wine made from the year's first saguaro fruit harvest was directly connected to bringing the rains necessary for the survival of the desert people. Dancing and rituals went on for days, the whole tribe imbibing the powerful wine as the ceremonial leaders beseeched the spirits to bless them with the gift of rain before partaking of the year's first harvest feast. The legend of how the Tohono O'odham gained their wider reservation lands also involved saguaro wine. Their valley used to be hemmed in by steep mountains and narrow, limiting their farming area. 4 wise men told the people to harvest saguaro fruit and start a 4-day festival of drinking the wine and dancing. By the end, the intoxicating effect of the wine made the mountains shimmer and move, expanding the valley to a wider, more fertile area. So the sacred saguaro fruit and its commanding presence was interwoven through Tohono O'odham culture, mythology, and identity as desert people. The harvest rituals connected them to their ancestors who celebrated the same festival. The syrup helped them call the rains needed to live on their lands, and the wine brought visions, moving mountains and reaching spirits when consumed ritually. The saguaro harvest is still an important cultural and social event for the tribe, but modern influences have affected the traditional ways. Less families participate these days, and the ones that do have modern tools and vehicles. However, the Tohono O'odham still hold on to this tradition and participate every year in a harvest festival on the reservation on their new year in the first week of July. There are other legends about the Saguaro cactus. The ones included here are just some. Thank you for joining me on another Southwest Desert journey. If you enjoyed this, leave a like or comment. For further adventures, hit the subscribe button. Happy trails!